Alright, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we're going into a top 5 video, which I've done in the past. For example, games that have made me rage, and I can't think of any other ones than that, but I know I've done more. Well, we're gonna add on to that, and if you're clicking on the video, it's because you've seen the thumbnail and title. We're gonna go into top 5 games you should play today that is under $30. I know a lot of people out there, sometimes even myself, to where you're just like, dude, these games are expensive. $70 for a video game is a whole lot. You don't always have money just lying around to where you can spend on video games that often. So I'm gonna give you guys 5 video games that you should try that is $30 and under, and sometimes they're even cheaper. Like a lot of the video games on this list, you can probably get for like 15 to 20 bucks. They're often on sale. Granted, because it's $30 and under, they're not like 2022 video games, 2021, maybe even. I think the oldest here, or the newest here, is 2020. But whatever, let's get straight into it. Let's start off with number 1. Number 1, we got Hades. Hades is a video game to where you are trying to escape from hell. I think I've talked about this game before in my most rage, top 5 rage videos, but it's a fun game because there is so much replayability to it. You can play for hours and hours and hours. You are the son of Hades himself, and like I said, you're trying to escape from hell, and through that you have to fight all kinds of enemies that are down there and work your way through the stage. It is a roguelike game, something that is very infuriating if you continue to die and die and die on, because you don't necessarily get that progression back other than in 1 or 2 forms of currency, I believe. No, 3 forms of currency. But everything else you do on the run is different every single time. There are 6 weapons. There are a crap ton of perks, which in that game are called, I don't know what they're called. They're gifts from the gods, though, that you can choose to do, and you have tons of options. Again, I can't stress enough, so much replayability. You can get it on the Switch, Xbox, pretty sure Steam at this point, but it is a great game that you can spend easily over 100 hours on if you wanted to 100% it, and you can find it on Amazon for $20. It is a game I very much recommend as long as you are okay with the art style. I know some people were like really not interested in it. They just weren't a fan. My cousin, who I bought it for Christmas, I believe, didn't like the game at all, and I'm like, damn dude, you're missing out. It's a really good game. I love the game. I put in over 100 hours into it. Hopefully you love the game. It's under $30. Again, you can probably get it for 20. Going on to number 2. This one is my personal favorite on this entire list. We got Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a game that came out, I believe, in 2016. And honestly, at first, I was very skeptical of it because I went to play it blind, and I was like, man, this game seems really complicated. There's a lot of stuff to it. And honestly, it's a really good game. Now, don't put too much pressure on yourself if you do decide to play it, because it is very confusing. But once you get the grasp of it, there's so much to unfold in that game. There are a crap ton of unique weapons, because there aren't a whole lot of weapons, but the weapons that there are is extremely unique. The theme of it, the aesthetic of it. To give you guys a rundown of what the game's like, you are a hunter in a world of beasts. It is your job to eliminate these beasts, eliminate these bad people, and again, similar to Hades, where if you die, it causes a lot of frustration. You can get very mad. But I think the story is hard to follow as well, but the theme of it all really just kind of helps so much. The uniqueness of the weapons. I'm playing it for the second time. I beat the whole game once. I've already put in 80 plus hours, and I'm playing it for the second time with my cousin and my brother. We're going in each other's worlds because it is co-op, but it's definitely a really fun game, which also does have a DLC option, by the way. It's just, as I'm talking, I'm showing clips that I'm editing on, and you're kind of seeing it for yourself. But the theme, again, I can't get enough, is so amazing. It is a critically acclaimed game. If you're familiar with Elden Ring, then you'll definitely be able to understand Bloodborne. If you're not familiar with Elden Ring, don't be afraid. I'd say give it a try. It's cheap, but you could also get tons and tons of hours out of this game. Again, I can't stress enough, the weapons are so freaking unique, man. The monsters themselves are pretty unique. Like, I don't want to give too much spoilers, but there's big ass rats, big ass crows, just weird looking beasts that I just am amazed that this became a video game, and it turned out great. Anyway, going into our next game. Sorry, I have my phone next to me with a list. Number 3. Boom. We got Doom 2016 / Doom Eternal. Granted, they're 2 different games, but they're both really cheap, and I don't necessarily think one's better than the other. Personally, I started with Doom 2016 because it was the first game in terms of, next gen or current gen. And then Eternal, you can also download a next gen version, I believe. But Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 are both action-packed video games where you are constantly blasting. Like everywhere you go, you're just blasting. For the players that want to dive deeper into more action and less story focused, this is the game for you. It is not really story focused. It is more I'm blasting everywhere with all kinds of weapons, and those weapons have all kinds of abilities that you can master yourself. There is weapon mastery in that game. There's a ton of secrets you can go through if you're interested in that stuff. 100% in the game is very difficult, but it is very worth it if you feel that you want all those trophies and if you feel like you want all that the game has to offer. Personally, I almost 100%ed Doom 2016. I definitely wore myself out for Doom Eternal, but I did play it anyway. Doom Eternal is a great game. You can get both games for free on PlayStation Plus extra, and if not, you can still spend $15 to get either or, maybe around 20. But again, at the highest 30. The whole point of this list is 30 and under. So Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, if you're interested in action-packed and you just want to blast everywhere with ARs or laser weapons or fucking who knows what, if you want to just start punching people and ripping their guts out, Doom is the game for you. Going down to number 4. Boom, we got Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is a card game. Now, I know what you're thinking, card game, why would I want to play a card game? Some of you are like, oh, card game, that sounds cool. It is very strategic, similar to, I'm trying to think of, it is a turn-based game, and again, it is a card game, but the cards themselves have so much abilities to it. You can build decks around so many different strategies, and there is 4 different characters which you can use, and there is an ending to the game, and a true ending to the game. Also Bloodborne too, I forgot to mention that. But it just leaves so much replayability because as you go through and discover these builds for yourself and discover these different effects for yourself, every run is different because you will not get the same stuff every time. There's a lot of RNG to it, just like in all these other games. Slay the Spire is a game where you really have to put your mind into it. It's not a game you can just breeze through or you will not win. You will just not win. But if you're smart enough and you're strategic enough, and sometimes even lucky enough, you can work your way through this dungeon. I believe it's a dungeon kind of environment, right? Oh man, well, as you're seeing the clips, you'll get an idea. Because again, if it was just my explanations and if you were just looking at my face, all these games would be a little confusing. But now that you're seeing clips with it, it makes your life a lot easier. It makes my life a lot easier. But again, the goal is to get to the very end and kill all the enemies along the way with all types of different cards through different runs. Some characters are better than others, and there's only 4 characters, but there's still a lot of replay ability because each character has a billion different builds that you can work with. So I highly recommend you play this game. You can get this game for very, very cheap, probably around $15. If you have PlayStation Extra, maybe free, I believe, but all in all, just a great game. And going into our last game today, we got Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity is a great game in that it's open world, for any people that like open world. It's not like the newer Assassin's Creed game to where it's less assassin focused. It's definitely Assassin's focused, and you have all kinds of outfits that you can go through, all kinds of missions that you can go through. There's so many side missions, it's crazy. There's so many weapons. So many different ways to go about completing your mission. There's not just like one set way. And I believe it is one of the best Assassin's Creed games of all time. And it's not one of the Assassin's Creeds that was like heavily marketed, I feel like. This one came in 2016, around that time. And I feel like I haven't heard enough people talk about it. And the movement feels great. Parkour feels great. There's so many different things you can do. And the map is pretty big. It's not crazy like some of the newer Assassin's Creeds, but it is definitely pretty big. Just going around the world and again, there's so many missions. For side missions, there is not a lack thereof of it. I promise you that much. You can play this game for 50 plus hours and it's just that jam-packed, especially since you can get it for free on PlayStation Extra, or you can get it for around 15 to 20 bucks, again, if you just go to Amazon. But if you're a fan of open world games and you want to be sneaky and, you know, do Assassins like stuff, or if you don't want to be sneaky, you want to be super hyper aggressive, you can definitely take that approach and just ignore all the Assassin's code and just be super loud and super vibrant. But again, a lot of weapon choices, a lot of outfits. There's even guns in that game, like I believe the blunderbuss is in that game. Don't quote me on it, but weapons similar to it at the very least. And it's a good story. I really did like the story. I believe the plot is really good. But anyway, those are your 5 games to try out today, tomorrow, whenever you want. All the games I listed are under $30. I didn't do the best job at describing each and every game, but with you seeing the gameplay footage as I speak, I'm sure it was a lot easier to imagine in yourself playing. But anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. I will probably do another top 5 video, something like this in the future. There's no real consistency to them, but I enjoy doing them. You know, just talking about stuff that I've experienced that you guys can experience. But as always, this is Ollie Been Different. We've been different, and we out.